and welcome to episode 126 of the Quick Time Event podcast. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and as always, I am joined by my partner in crime, John.
Hello.
Quick-
Water's a wonderful thing.
Quick Time Event is a chance for John and I to get together each and every week to talk about all of the nerdy things that we love. If you like what you hear, you can find us live on twitch.tv/CDR Magnus every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or on all of your favorite podcast services all across the internet, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, and more, shortly after the live show ends. This week, we are going to give you our predictions for 2021. We'll talk about that at length in just a little bit. But before we get there, John, you feeling okay, buddy? You doing okay over there?
Man, I don't know what happened.
So walk me through what's going on.
I felt fine. And then a bunch of things happened that were very stressful. And then I had dinner. And then I felt awful for like an hour and a half. And I don't know what did it. I don't know if it was what I had for dinner. I don't know if
anything
it was
like
the stress.
Was it like fresh food or was it like processed?
It was a meal that I made yesterday.
Mm.
And it was fine yesterday, and it was, properly refrigerated and like, just nothing that I know of could have been wrong.
Yeah. That's the worst. That's just the worst. Let me give you a little deal here, just for your something to think about.
I like where this is going.
Just to think about, if this happens again, maybe just think about it, and maybe I don't know, maybe my wisdom can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any history of like acid reflux, indigestion kind of stuff?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Well, just be on the if you start getting heartburn or something, maybe.
I don't know what heartburn feels like. Maybe I've had it before, but like how do I know?
See, to me, heartburn is a misnomer because it doesn't feel like it's in your chest. At least not for me. It feels like it's up here in your throat. It's like just a burning sensation in your throat because your acid in your stomach is just going all over your throat, and it sucks.
I don't think I've ever had that.
Okay.
Maybe I have, and I just assumed that it wasn't heartburn because I was like, this is throat.
Every now and then I'll like eat something that usually it's like when it's something that's really sweet for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
It triggers symptoms that almost mimic like food poisoning, like just horrible stomach cramps. It starts with stomach cramps, and then it'll move through your body the way food typically moves through your body, and it's bad news the whole way.
Sure.
If that conversation did not make you want to subscribe to this podcast, I don't know what would. So I'm sorry. Hopefully you feel better here.
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm cruising at 70 right now.
Okay.
Where I don't feel 100% better, but I don't feel like I'm going to be gross.
That's good.
So
if something happens and that changes,
riding it out.
We'll stop and we'll move on. It'll be fine. No worries.
Yeah. We'll get back to this at a later date.
So what's been going on?
You'll be very proud of me. I did a lot. I've gotten a lot done nerd-wise.
Nice.
So I don't know if I did this because I wanted to, because it was going away, or because I wanted to spite you for not believing in me. But I did watch Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, yay!
Finally. I watched it on Christmas Eve. I was like, all right, this is leaving tomorrow from Netflix. I better get on this. So I did.
How'd you like it?
It was good. It was a very good movie. I liked it a lot. I like Miles as a character. I mean, I knew vaguely who he was before, but I feel like I know him better now, obviously. I did like that they took like the Sonic movie approach, where they were able to make fun of things that they themselves had done, or like internet memes had done with their own franchise. Like whenever whatever. The Spider-Man 3 infamous Peter Parker's being a douche walking
Dancing
down the
down the
street.
street, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, this happened, but we don't talk about that.
We don't mention that anymore.
So very, very good movie. I knew that it was going to be good because it's a Spider-Man movie that was animated and like reviewed well, both among fans and critics. Um, I didn't I wasn't expecting rather the various spider people to all be a different animation style almost.
Mm,
Which I thought was cool. I
yeah,
liked it because then it really felt like they all came from truly separate universes. It wasn't like, okay, you're all designed or like graphically the same. It's just your costume's different.
sure.
It was like, okay, the one who has the robot looks like she came from an anime, which fit with her universe.
Right. And then
Like the design choices were very, very well done.
yeah. Yeah, the animation style, it's kind of cool because it married the animation style of Spider-Verse, which is like low frame per second, almost like sort of stop motion CGI,
Yeah,
with the cartoon styles of those other characters. So like you said, the anime style or the Looney Tunes style with Spider-Ham,
Yeah.
or the dark noir like 1930s Batman stuff with
for sure.
yeah.
So that was really good. I really enjoyed that. I'm glad that I watched it before it left Netflix. And I was talking to somebody and I was like, I really don't know where it's gonna end up next because it's gotta go somewhere. But with everything happening with Spider-Man, specifically between Sony and Marvel, aka now Disney, like, does it go to Disney Plus? And Sony just bought Crunchyroll or whatever, and it's
Yeah,
animated. Does it go to them? Like,
I don't think. Well, I don't think it'll go to Disney Plus because none of the other Spider-Man movies are on. It's really weird. So all of the Spider-Man stuff that was created by Marvel before Sony got the license is on
Yes.
Disney Plus. So like the 80s, 90s Spider-Man cartoon is on there.
Yeah.
The older Spider-Man cartoons on there. Some of the other Spider-Man stuff is on there. And then all of obviously the MCU movies with Spider-Man in it, not as the main character. So like Civil War, Avengers, all that stuff is on Disney Plus. But the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, and the Tom Holland standalone Spider-Man movies, so Far From Home and Homecoming, those are not on Disney Plus. So all of the Sony produced movies are not there, which would lead me to believe that Spider-Verse is not going to be there, at least for right now. But again, like you said, Sony doesn't really have a streaming service other than Funimation and now Crunchyroll. Or Crunchyroll and now Funimation, whichever way that went. I think it was Funimation and they bought Crunchyroll, but they have that now.
I just know that it's all owned by Sony now.
Yeah, but I don't think that you're not going to see the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies on Crunchyroll. So like, I don't know if Spider-Verse would find a home there either. It's really weird, but yeah, I agree. It has to go somewhere.
It's
where
too
that is,
good
I don't know.
It's too good to disappear.
Yeah,
Especially because everybody streams now.
sure.
Like, yeah, you can buy it physically or you could buy a digital copy, but it's too, like, all movies are on some streaming service these days.
And I think that's only. And I'll talk about this when I go. But like now that we have HBO Max debuting movies day and date that they're coming out in the theater, like, it just gives it all more credence that like streaming is just how movies are going to go now.
Yeah.
Glad you like it.
So Spider-Verse was good. I also watched. I don't know if this is really podcasty related, but I did watch after all these years. When did this movie come out? Give me 1 second. I watched a Pixar movie that came out forever ago. Came out in 2007.
Wait, let me think. 2007.
Sure.
2000,
Missed out on it.
2007 would have been. Was it like Cars?
No, I watched Cars. Don't
Okay.
worry.
I don't know then. Is Up is later, right?
Yeah, and I saw Up. Um, I missed out
Incredibles.
on no
Oh, damn.
Ratatouille.
Oh, is that Pixar?
I thought so. I thought it was under the Pixar
It
category.
probably is. I never know. Some because like when before Disney bought Pixar, like there were a couple movies there that like kind of looked like Pixar movies, but they were actually by Disney. Yeah. Wait.
2007 American computer animated comedy film produced by Pixar and released by Walt Disney Pictures.
Okay. Yeah, I watched that a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean it came out 13 years ago, and I've finally gotten around to watching it. If that tells you that alone should tell you who I am as a person. I will watch something that should be very near and dear to me, aka Into the Spider-Verse, about what 3 years after it releases,
Something like that. Yeah.
and I'll watch something that is just general pop culture about 13 years after it releases. Um, However, to just completely throw that under the bus, that mindset, I also bought a whole bunch of Switch games. I'm not going to talk about all the ones that I bought, but I will talk about the one that I played and have been playing and just quasi beat. I really, really enjoy Hades.
Ah.
It is so fun.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
it does everything that I wished that Dead Cells did. Hades does.
Okay.
AKA there's like a story that I can follow. The upgrades aren't they're not dumbed down, but like to me they're a lot easier to understand than
Sure.
the Dead Cells upgrades. And I think it's because like the Dead Cells upgrades, there were so many percentages everywhere. And like a lot more, I don't know, what do you call games like Diablo and stuff like that?
Like looters, like dungeon games, like
I'm like, you know how I guess the loot in those kind of games have like ridiculously specific effects and like percentages associated with them and like DPS and all this stuff. Like Dead Cells went really specific into some of those things, whereas Hades is a lot more simple and straightforward. I think it's a lot easier for me to follow.
the
And
other
like,
thing that Hades does really well is that it spaces that stuff out. Like there's stuff that you don't
yeah,
even unlock until after you beat the game. Like there's
yeah,
like I don't know. It gives you a piecemeal. Like you'll do 5 runs and they'll give you a new mechanic, and it's like
yeah.
okay, you're learning this stuff step by step, so you're building a base and sort of moving on from there, and you never feel overwhelmed at any point.
And I do feel that the permanent upgrades are a lot more beneficial than the ones in Dead Cells. I think one of the other main things for me is that like, and this is just something that I'm not that great or interested in, I guess. But like there was a very big reward mechanic for pretty much speed running through Dead
Mm,
Cells.
mm.
And I'm just not a great speedrunner. Like it just isn't something I really enjoy. It's cool to watch, but that's not my play style.
No, I hate that shit. I hate it so much. Anytime there's a speedrunning trophy or achievement, it's just I'm not gonna even try.
Yeah.
I hate it.
But the big thing for that was that like if you did speedrun it, you got certain rewards, but if you tried to speedrun it and you just missed it, then you missed out on all the upgrades that you would have taken the time to get, and now you're just completely screwed for the rest of your run. And
Right.
it's like, well, great. I missed it by 10 seconds, so cool. But yeah, now Hades is a ridiculous amount of fun. Plus, there's just a lot of I think I mentioned this already, but like the story actually existing and having there be relationships between all these characters and seeing those develop is really rewarding. Like it makes me want to keep on doing more runs so that whenever I come back, I can get more character development and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was my favorite part is the is how great those characters are, and like the way that, like I said, like we talked about this very briefly because you had not played the game or even really experienced any of it, but like
Yeah.
I don't remember the guy's name, but like Hades getting the nod for voice actor for the Game
Yeah.
Awards as opposed to Zagreus's voice actor or anybody else. Like all of the gods are great.
Oh, everyone, like I know a I'm not like an expert in Greek mythology, but I know probably more than like the average person, at least the average American, about the Greek gods. And like so I knew what each of them kind of represented and how they interacted with the other ones. And all of the voice actors, like all the just their styles of voices were perfect
Right, and
for
that's not
every single one.
and then on top of that you have the characters that are like close to Zagreus, so like Meg and Thanatos and
Yeah.
Achilles, and it's just like there's all these great characters, and they're all. It's a very different take on Greek mythology. It's a very personal take on Greek mythology.
It felt very personal. It almost felt modern. Maybe modern's not the right word. It felt relatable,
Yeah,
which is very hard to do whenever you're talking about ancient Greek mythology.
yeah,
Like that's something that God of War did so well, the original games, was that it took you into this fantasy world where nothing was relatable. It was escapism. To flip on its head and make it all super relatable, it's like, all right, I didn't think this would work, but good job, you did it. This is working. I I think maybe now thinking about it after playing it so much, that the reason Hades got the nod for the Game Awards for voice acting was just because like I don't think I've ever heard a better voice that encompasses the feeling of like disappointed and exhausted dad.
he's trying his best. Okay.
He really is. Like he's also just being a douche about things cuz he's a god.
So okay, so you say you quasi beat it. Have you finished a run?
I have finished one run.
Okay.
I finished one run earlier today. I started the game on Christmas Day. So 4 days ago.
Okay.
So I've sunk a lot of time into it. I don't know if this is like a stat that I could look up anywhere, but I believe my first completed run was run number 34.
Okay.
And
I have no idea.
I don't know how long it usually takes people to get like their first completed run. I I got to the final boss probably 4 times before that. Realistically could have beaten him like one or two extra times. I just screwed something up. But today was the time that I got my first one.
Right. So I completed a run as well, and that's where I decided to stop. I went through and I watched all of the cutscenes after that. Like I went
Sure.
cheated because I wanted to be done playing the game because those just aren't my games. But I did love the story, and like I don't know, there's so much more to dig into with all. I don't know how much you've done with like the nectar and stuff, but like if you start getting into like deep into some of those like side stories, essentially.
I've gotten deeper into the nectar stories for the inhabitants of Hades, I guess. Like I've given each of the gods one to get their gift,
Sure.
but I'm not focusing on them at the moment because I figured they're not really the ones I'm super involved with on a regular basis. Like their involvement is at random, whereas I'm going to talk to all these people who are in quote unquote the house a lot more frequently. And it just seems I feel like there's going to be more story and character development
There
driven
definitely
stuff
is.
in
And like
those relationships.
as you complete more runs and learn more about that other stuff too, it is a very, very clever. It's a clever game in a ton of ways, but the storytelling part of it, I think, is probably, again, it's the thing that I enjoyed the most, and it does it in such an interesting way.
I'm trying to think of I thought that was something else I wanted to say about the game, but maybe not. I am annoyed that I'm getting like I've gotten to the keyhole heart on 3 characters, one of them being Hades, and I'm just like, what more do I have to do? Like, is this just a random thing that's gonna unlock at some point? Am I missing something? I really don't know, and it's starting to make me upset.
Lots of
I'm
secrets.
also upset because there's definitely I stumbled upon this whenever I was looking stuff up, but like I know that you can get a companion. I don't know if that's the right word, but I imagine they make a run maybe a little bit easier. I don't really know. I don't know what they do, but I want one, and I don't have one yet.
I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
I think there's 5 or 6. You know, in your like your little china cabinet full of goodies.
Sure.
You know, at the bottom how they had those like golden locked doors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's where those go, from what I've come to understand.
Yeah, I wondered what those were.
Yeah.
It's like I had completed a run and I still had no idea. Like, again, that stuff that's just like building up, and like I don't know if that was something that was gonna like they were gonna tell me after I completed 10 runs or whatever the hell. But
Yeah, it does seem like 10's the magic number based on 1, what I've seen online, and 2, the number of times you have to visit Greece to like unlock all the stuff.
And that's the part that kind of killed me. It's like I love this. I do like the game quite a bit. I can't force myself to play the run part of it that I'm not enjoying. I want to see the story. I want to see all that stuff. I just don't want to play the actual game. And that, again, fault of the game, because the game's great.
No.
Just not my cup of tea.
I'm a little annoyed that they made it 10. That seems a little excessive. Although, like, at this point, so the way that I play my runs is I will go with whatever weapon has the like purple glow, Thirst of Darkness. I'm sure if I just went with the weapons that I'm best at for every run, I could probably get maybe not every single one as a complete run, but like
there's a lot of RNG involved.
I'd probably bat like 50-50 just because of some of the permanent upgrades that I have.
Sure,
my playstyle would change a little bit, but like if I always used my first completed run was with the Fists of Malkon.
Whatever. Yeah.
Sure. And I generally get very far when I use those. So like if I just use those permanently, I'd probably get all 10.
Right, and there's ways with the trinkets to like force gods to appear. So you can sort of like you can kind of get the build you want.
Yeah. So regardless, having a lot of fun with it. I don't know when I'll put it down really, like because I'm still I just want to see everything, and I want to get like all these things unlocked. I see why it's so popular with streamers. Like, if every run can be different, but also you're getting new stuff every time.
And they're not that long. It's like 25 minutes, something like that.
So, did that. I think the last note, I feel like I'm missing something big, but I can't remember. The last thing of note that I did besides playing more Persona 4 was there's a category on Disney Plus that piqued my interest because I'd seen like little news articles all over about this, but just seeing these all like listed out was kind of curious. There was a category that's just called Simpsons Predict. And so it's all the episodes where the Simpsons wrote some dumb joke years ago that ended up basically becoming true.
President Trump.
Yeah, that was actually the first one that I watched. And you know what? I think I kind of like The Simpsons. I know that we've talked about this before. And maybe like I had just randomly watched either bad episodes or like I know at some point they got not great just because it's been going on forever. But some of these episodes they're pretty funny. Like it's not convoluted jokes, it's very simple jokes. Like there's not a Futurama long-winded like but also very funny way of explaining, I don't know, some something happening in modern society, but like framing it in the future. It's just like dumb, very simple jokes that are kind of a breath of fresh air sometimes. So,
Nice.
yeah. What'd you do?
So I'll start where you started. I watched a movie. I've watched several movies. I've been on a Muppets kick, sort of the last few months. On Disney Plus?
I do not go back and watch the Muppets.
You don't like the Muppets? You don't like Muppets?
I don't know.
Did you grow
like
up liking the Muppets?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't really have like. I appreciate the Muppets now for what they are, but I don't have any strong memories about the Muppets.
See, I grew up with the Muppets. One of the first movies I
Sure.
remember watching was The Great Muppet Caper, which I think was the second Muppets movie. And then like all of the like Muppet Treasure Island, the Muppet Christmas Carol. It's just the Muppets have always been a part of my life. And
Sure.
I recommend watching the Disney Plus, not the new one, because I actually haven't seen that one yet. But the Muppets TV show that was on ABC back in like 2015 or 2016. I think there's only one season of it, and then ABC canceled it. It's really fucking good. It's basically the Muppets, except they're doing 30 Rock. It's like 30 Rock, but it's the Muppets.
30 Rock I also missed out on. I've seen like 2 episodes of 30 Rock.
Okay. So it's basically the plot of 30 Rock, where they're putting on Miss Piggy's TV show. And it's like the back room writer's room where they're like writing jokes. And it's basically like an office sort of show where they like have interviews with the characters as they're doing stuff. But all obviously framed within the lens of the Muppets. But I watched that on Disney Plus probably like 6 months ago during the pandemic, just because I wanted something that was funny. And
you wanted the sweet relief of not living in a house.
Sure. And so that series really holds up. And then I was on YouTube, talking about YouTube again. I was watching Defunct Land, which is a great channel on YouTube. Kevin Perjurer is his name, and he does a bunch of historical looks at primarily Disneyland stuff, but also just amusement parks in general. So there's a ton of stuff in there about Cedar Point and Kings Island and all kinds of stuff. But he has a couple different shows that he has on his channel, and one of them looks back at a lot of the Muppet stuff. So I've been watching some of that on YouTube. And then over Christmas, we watched the Christmas Carol. So watched lots of Muppets. But the thing I actually wanted to talk about was Wonder Woman 1984, which came out Christmas Day. We watched that on HBO Max, got ourselves a subscription to that network just to see how it was.
So now you have, instead of paying for cable, you have a subscription to Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Crunchyroll, and I'm guessing that's
Disney
it.
Plus.
Disney Plus. So you have all 5 of those, all the big 5.
So Disney and Hulu are this and bundled together. So Disney Plus, Hulu,
that's right, yeah,
are one subscription, and then Netflix, yes, and HBO Max
clearly,
and Crunchyroll. Yes.
All right.
So lots of subscriptions.
So you're paying for cable,
essentially, except that I get
cable. Cable never lets you pick what you wanted to
Exactly.
watch whenever you wanted to watch it. Yeah,
and there's lots of commercials on cable that I don't have to watch.
that's true.
So the other thing that's on HBO Max though is Ghibli. All the Ghibli films are on HBO Max, so that's another reason to get it. Anyway, we watched 1984. Terrible movie. Because the Wonder Woman was like great. Like after the train wreck of the DC extended universe, or whatever the fuck they called it, Wonder Woman was like a breath of fresh air. Like it brought in a character that had really never gotten like that great a screen time before. And the director did something interesting, and the plot was good. It was a little like rip off of Captain America, but it was still good. It was actually great. Then this Wonder Woman movie comes out, and it's horrible. It's really, really bad, you guys. It's bad. Not even like it's worse than I would watch Batman vs Superman before I would watch Wonder Woman 1984 again. Like the CGI, terrible, horrible CGI. We watched two movies that had terrible CGI over in the last week. One was Wonder Woman. The other was the Mulan movie that came out very recently from Disney. We watched The Grinch on Christmas Day. Jim Carrey's The Grinch.
Jim Carrey's The Grinch?
Yes. Better CGI in Jim Carrey's The Grinch than in both Mulan and Wonder Woman 1984. Both of those movies came out in 2020. The Grinch came out in 2000.
Woof.
The Grinch
there should be a significant difference between this should be opposite.
You would think, but no. It's terrible CGI to the point where it's like I was audibly laughing at how bad it looked. And then there's so many plot holes. This movie had to just been cut to hell because every 30 seconds there's some sort of plot hole. At the end of the movie, there's like at least 5 major plot threads that are never resolved. And it's not even like, oh, we're hanging it on a cliffhanger to see where that goes in the future. It's just like they completely forgot about it. Like the two villains, we have no idea what happened to them. Not because they like died mysteriously or something. It's just like the camera never went back to them after we saw them last. I don't know if they're in jail. I don't know if they just got away with it because that's just how the movie ended. It's like all of this weird stuff that just nobody seemingly thought about.
That is not how you want a movie to end.
I wouldn't think so. No. I would like to know if, the two villains got their comeuppance or if they like learned a lesson. We don't even know if they really learned a lesson, honestly. I will say, though, the best part of the movie are the two villains. Kristen Wiig and Pedro Pascal. Great job. Great job in both of their respective roles. But the plot and everything framed around it just makes no sense.
Sad.
So that was very upsetting. Don't know that we're going to keep our subscription to HBO Max and going forward. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, that would leave a pretty bad taste in my mouth.
Other than that, I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk and a lot of Demon's Souls. I'll start with Demon's Souls because I think it's easier to talk about. It's really interesting how I'm going to say that Demon's Souls is more different to Dark Souls than Bloodborne is. Bloodborne is closer to Dark Souls than Demon's Souls is, for sure.
How?
Demon's Souls has
in what way?
So much magic. So much magic.
Oh, okay.
Like you have MP that you can regenerate, which
trivializes... You have that in Dark Souls 3.
Demon's Souls, it's a lot. It almost makes things trivial sometimes.
Oh, really?
In some fights, in some instances, especially boss fights, there are some boss fights that you can just like completely cheese by standing far away and throwing magic at it. And like your if you have a ring on that you can get as a starting ring, your MP just constantly regenerates. So it's like,
oh, okay. And it's not like the Dark Souls regeneration where it's just this tiny little like sliver at a time.
It is, but like if I don't know, I am speccing sort of. I have like a medium armor build. I'm putting a lot into strength, and like half strength, half dexterity. I guess a quarter of each of those, and the rest is magic. I'm trying to like stay kind of ranged with a shield and a spear, and then primarily I'm trying to use magic, but like. Not having to go back to regenerate magic at a bonfire just makes things a lot easier in a lot of respect.
Sure.
It's obviously really difficult, and there are some enemies that are just stupid strong. They come out of nowhere seemingly. The other thing that's very different is that it's not one big open world. There's a hub world, and there's like 5 separate worlds you go to that are very linear. So like you're not backtracking to go to different areas. Basically you go into a world and you just go straight through it in a linear fashion. There's like passages and stuff you can like get lost in, but it's not like in Dark Souls where you need a key in one area to open up something in another area.
Yeah.
It's all it's a lot more linear.
That reminds me a little bit of Dark Souls 2, because there are sections you go to and then you finish that section and like a bird just carries you off somewhere.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there's that in Dark Souls
But
1 too when you get to the
yeah, but
tower.
that happens like once.
Sure.
In 2 it happens like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, so it's structured as being in these hubs, and the PS5 is
Yeah.
actually fucking amazing because you can load up between those hubs in literally 2 seconds. It's so
That's
great.
nice.
The other thing that is frustrating, and I think this is probably why people say Demon Souls is the hardest, or some people say that, a lot fewer shortcuts. Very, very few shortcuts between bosses and back to the Archstone or the bonfire.
Sure.
So that makes, like, there's some like secret paths you can kind of find, like if you roll off a building in a certain direction, you can get somewhere. But
The typical Dark Souls shortcuts.
sure, there's not like a gate you can open a lot of the time, or like a bridge you can put down.
The risky Dark Souls shortcuts.
Sure. So yeah, I don't know. Like, having played all three, having played Bloodborne, having played Demon Souls and Dark Souls, I think Demon Souls is a lot different than Bloodborne when it comes to comparing them with Dark Souls. Just in the way that, like, especially bosses are handled too. Like in Dark Souls and in Bloodborne, I feel like a lot of the challenge with boss fights comes from like memorizing their attack sequences and figuring out the best time to attack them, like when their opening is.
Yeah, for sure.
And that exists in Demon Souls. But Demon Souls bosses, I almost like, they're more about figuring out their weakness. Like, every boss has a weakness that you can exploit. Maybe it's like a certain damage type, but like there's a huge knight that you fight at one point, and if you break his shoes, he falls over and you can attack his head for like ridiculous amounts of damage. Like, so like every boss fight has almost like a gimmick where like you have to figure out how to exploit that gimmick to finish it. So there's some like memorizing of like attack sequences, but I feel like it's a lot more trying to like, it's more cerebral and like trying to figure out how to best take down the boss.
Sure.
So it's a different experience. I think that's really it. What I've kind of come to two realizations here, and I guess it's like, it's not necessarily bad. It's just I'm having a hard time accepting it with Demon Souls and with Cyberpunk 2, two completely different realizations or coming to acceptance, I guess. But like, it's going to take me a long time to finish Demon Souls because there's not enough to like keep me engaged with the game. Like, I don't, and this is the same thing that I had with Hades. I don't find myself enjoying gameplay as much anymore. I mean, gameplay it can make or break a game, but when you have something like Hades that is so gameplay intensive, or when you have something like Demon Souls where, especially with the Souls games, FromSoft doesn't really give you a real narrative there. There's a ton of lore and there's a lot of backstory, and if you put all of that together and you really take the time to look into it, there's a lot of story. It's just they don't give you a narrative.
Yeah, it's all environmental. You're figuring things out. You're not seeing relationships happen.
Sure.
You're seeing how they once were.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of stuff there. It's just, it's not keeping me engaged. I'm still having fun when I'm playing it. I just find myself not being able to play it for long periods of time.
Okay.
And so like I think I'm about probably 40% through the game. I've beaten 5 or 6 bosses now. And I hope that I finish it. If I don't finish it, it's not because it's too hard. It's just like I'm not feeling engaged with it. And it has nothing to do with the game. Same thing as Hades. Like, the game is immaculate. It's beautiful. Demon Souls is beautiful. As much as a broken down world can be, the textures, the environment, everything in that game is just stunning. The gameplay is obviously pristine. super difficult but pristine. The story's just not there for me. Like, and that's what usually draws me in, and I'm having a hard time coming to terms with that because I want to like these games. I want to be the person that plays these games. I'm finding myself not having as good a time as I feel like I should be when I'm playing them.
It's a really shitty feeling when you play a game that people herald as really great and you're like, I'm not feeling this connection. Like,
I understand it. It's like I understand
you understand why, but you're not actually feeling it. You're like, I see why you feel it.
Yeah.
Wish I did too, because then we could like get excited about this together instead of me watching you be excited.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and dedicate like a little bit of time to it, maybe every day or every other day or something. Maybe try and get through one area or try and like figure out one task, like get through one section or something at a time.
Sure.
But I'm just having a really hard time committing to actually play it, probably like it should be played. And then with Cyberpunk, I'm having sort of the same issue committing to it, and it's no fault of Cyberpunk's, actually. I'm really enjoying Cyberpunk. I think it has a great... Again, I didn't expect the world of it. I think that it has an amazing world. The story is engaging so far. I like the characters. Keanu Reeves is actually a pretty cool character, and it's doing something really interesting. Especially when you think about this like type of genre or this sort of sci-fi kind of game. It's all interesting and it's grabbing me. This is the thing that does grab me in games. My issue with Cyberpunk, though, is where I'm playing it. The other realization that I'm having a hard time coming to terms with is that I don't think I like playing games on my PC anymore. The reason
because of your
for
PlayStation 5?
Not because of the PlayStation 5, but because of like the reality of my situation, which is
okay,
the room where my PC lives is my workspace.
Okay.
And so like I'm on vacation right now, and like this is where I've spent the last 8 months. And when I sit down at this desk, I'm having fun with the game. I just don't want to be in front of the computer. Like this feels like it's not like playing the game feels like work. It's just like I want to be on the couch. Like I'm on vacation, I should be on the couch. I shouldn't be in front of a computer screen. And so I don't know if that's ever going to change. I might just like need to start playing games on like I don't know. I don't know what that is. I feel myself not wanting to come into this room to play Cyberpunk. No fault of Cyberpunk's, all on me.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating because I want to play more Cyberpunk. I just don't want to like, and it's like this room in particular, my office is in like a corner of the house. So like if I come in here and I put my headphones on,
you're can't think of the word. I was going to say iced off, but that's not the word. What
isolated?
am I trying to...
Isolated?
I guess, but
I'm like sectioned off. I don't know. I'm trapped basically. I'm like in my dungeon basically, and like I can't talk to Janet. I can't like look at my dog or anything. I'm in this dark room. I can open the blinds, but the issue with opening the blinds and having the light come in is that Cyberpunk's a really dark game.
Yeah,
and like it's hard to see the screen sometimes. So I have the blinds closed. I'm playing the game in the dark. It's hard. It's just I'm finding it it's hard. I want to play on the couch. I have a Steam Link. I might boot up the Steam Link and try and play this.
See if it works.
I mean, theoretically, the game can be played with the controller because you're playing it on a PS4 anyway. So, like, I just don't know how the streaming part's going to work from my PC to the Steam Link. So, maybe I'll try that. But I like Cyberpunk. I like it a lot. I wish I could play more of it without feeling frustrated.
That's fair.
That's all I've been doing. Did you think of the other thing you were thinking about?
I did.
Did you think of the thing that you're thinking with the thing?
I did think of the thing, believe it or not. The other thing that I finally finished, and I think you had watched this show as well, so we could really actually get into this at some point if we want to. It's not really I don't think it's very quick time event related. It's just it's a relevant television show. So I don't know if it would qualify for like a discussion or not.
Okay.
I finally got caught up and finished The Good Place. Very. I'm like stuck reflecting on how I feel about the ending. Because man, that show was a wild ride. You went all over the place. And like, I think it ended how they wanted it to end it, but I also know that they, from the sounds of it, kind of were just told one day, hey, this is the last season.
Yeah. I don't exactly know.
I don't know what they would have done with more time, but it does feel like they wanted more time. Maybe just one more season. I'm just not sure because it was such a wild show that like I don't know if they ever made a huge jump. It never felt like a huge jump, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't really remember. The thing with The Good Place,
it was a solid like B for me.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't by any means my favorite show of all time, but it wasn't like a shitty sitcom.
No.
Was just garbage. Like there was actual thought put into it. There was like a lot of philosophy put into it, actually.
Any show that Michael Schur does is probably a show that I'm going to like.
Sure.
So yeah. Let's get on to our topic of the show then, which is predictions. Alrighty. It's our prediction episode for
first, a reflection, right?
Yes. Let us reflect on 2020 before we move on to 2021, because we made a few predictions at the beginning of 2020. At the beginning of 2020, we didn't know that this was all going to happen this year.
We didn't know that COVID was going to be released
upon
the world.
We had no idea that we would be in the worst, the only real pandemic that's like occurred in the last 100 years.
Yeah. Who could have predicted this?
And so, at the beginning of 2020, we were like, we're going to have time. We're going to have other predictions. E3 is going to happen. Maybe there will be a PSX. We'll have plenty of predictions all year round. So let's just do general predictions for the entire year. And so each of us did 3 predictions about what we thought was going to happen in 2020. So let's go through these real quick. In January of 2020, I predicted, because Sony was not going to be at E3, they were going to go, quote, balls to the wall at the PS5 announcement, showing God of War 2, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Spider-Man 2, and an older series revival like Jak, Sly Cooper, Ratchet, Infamous, something similar to that. I fucking nailed that one, bro. I nailed it.
Be nice.
The PS5 announcement ended up being, it was 2 separate kind of things, but they did announce God of War 2. We did see Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Spider-Man 2 is like we got Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is neither a sequel nor a DLC, something standalone. And we got a new Ratchet game. I got all of those points. Nailed it.
Good.
John's first prediction is that
hate to see it.
Nintendo will go full force with Zelda around E3. We'll get the name of the Breath of the Wild sequel and a release window for spring 2021.
Nope.
That would fall in line with the Breath of the Wild release date. Unfortunately,
who thought that Nintendo would go pretty much radio silent
for real,
like directs and just everything?
Nintendo was for a long time the company that was communicating the most.
Yeah.
We got directs regularly, like at least for a year or something like that. And then we would only get, Sony and Microsoft at E3 time and maybe something in December. That was it.
Yeah.
This year, Nintendo was like, oh, fuck that. We're gone. See you guys.
Maybe I should make my predictions be the opposite of what I want.
Just predict the total and complete opposite. So when it happens, maybe you don't get the points for the prediction, but you get the happiness.
I'll make the world a better place.
Yeah. Yeah. We got exactly 0 from Zelda. Well, I guess we got Hyrule Warriors too, which was cool.
You mean Age of Calamity. We did get that.
But we didn't get anything mainline Zelda related.
No.
My second prediction is that Sony will outright acquire at least 2 more studios. One of them will be Kojima Productions. That's a big fat egg. Got no points there. I don't think Sony acquired anyone this year, actually.
Probably not, no. I think the only acquisition was
Bethesda.
Xbox buying Bethesda, right?
Yeah, and that technically hasn't happened yet, but they don't foresee any
fiscal years and all this.
Well,
garbage.
I think it was more about like getting the okay from whatever court decides like monopolies are okay. Like they got
okay.
Someone has to, there's some government entity that has to approve that merger because they're 2 big companies basically.
Yeah.
But they said that they don't foresee any issues with that. And I wouldn't think there would be. So yeah, nothing there. John's second prediction is that we will finally get new Elder Scrolls information and a release.
Nope.
Nothing there. No Elder Scrolls. Nothing really from Bethesda at all other than, getting bought by Microsoft. And Doom Eternal.
I get a quarter of a point for that.
No. They didn't even talk about Elder Scrolls, I don't think. All they're talking about is Starfield.
You're really going to let me end with a big old 0, aren't you?
My third prediction was that Metroid Prime 4 will not be shown this year in any extensive capacity. Maybe we'll get a short teaser, but no proper trailer and no release date. We got nothing from Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. Good job. Nail on the head. Who would have known that? Apparently you knew that Nintendo was going to go radio silent, and I remained hopeful.
You gotta stop with the hope. No more hope.
I made
it's
a
all
bad
despair.
choice.
You know when you're in Dark Souls and you see the thing on the ground and you click it and it's like despair ahead, or you know, try rolling and it's just you roll off a cliff and there's nothing below you. That kind of thing. Embrace it.
I don't wanna.
John's last prediction was a meme at the time. But his last prediction was Splinter Cell. It's back for real this time.
Mostly because you couldn't predict it.
Yeah. I famously predicted Splinter Cell being at like 3 E3s in a row. Never there. And I said the last time that if I get it wrong, the third time I can never predict it again. I got it wrong. I can no longer predict Splinter Cell. But John thought, you know what? Because Josh is in despair, now I can be happy and I'll get the points for it. Nope. Just despair. It's all despair. So those were the predictions. I got 2 points. John got no points. This year, though, because we have a pretty good idea that E3 is not going to happen, I
hope E3 doesn't happen based on the way that, we will hopefully be out of this pandemic and have a vaccine by then, but really there's no guarantee, and that is not something you should it's not something you should risk continuing a pandemic for.
The only way that there's going to be an E3 is if they move it to like August. They would have to move it to be later in the summer, because right now they're saying normal ass people aren't going to be able to get the vaccine until late spring to early summer, probably, which is not going to be enough time. If it's in early June, that's not enough time to get everyone vaccinated and ready to go for E3.
No.
So,
and I don't even know. I don't know if this is like public knowledge or not, but I think the vaccine is a twofer, right? Like you have to get a follow-up one.
It depends. There's
2 different ones.
Yeah, there's 2 different vaccines. One of them is one time. I think the Pfizer vaccine is a one-time vaccine, but the Oxford vaccine is 2.
And even with all that, I don't know how long it takes for them to really actually be effective.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
And how long it takes, or how long it actually lasts. Like I know that they said that it looks like it's going to last longer than they originally thought, but what did they originally think?
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of question marks. And I think that means that E3 is not going to exist. And because of that, we are going to blow out our predictions this year. At the beginning of the year, we're going to predict all of the stuff for the entire year with categories like we would normally do for E3 because it's not going to happen. So to make sure we get all that in, today we're going to predict, each of us are going to have 3 predictions for PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, third party / indies, and then miscellaneous 2021 predictions. So we're each going to give 15 total predictions, and next January we'll take a look back and see what we got. All right, so we'll go back and forth. We'll start at the top with PlayStation.
I'm still trying to come up with one more for PlayStation.
Okay.
I PlayStation, as longtime listeners probably know, PlayStation is 100% my weakest area, as I have only had access to a PlayStation console for like the last year and a half. And granted, a lot of that's on me. I could have gone and dedicated the last year and a half to PlayStation games, but I didn't. So I still don't know that much in regards to what PlayStation does.
I'll go first and give you a little bit more time to think.
Okay.
My first prediction, I'm sticking with one that I had last year. I think it has to happen this year. I'm not going to be as ballsy as to say it's going to be 2, but I do think that Sony's going to acquire a major new studio or publisher, maybe even a publisher this year. I think it's definitely going to be Japanese. So they're going to acquire a major new Japanese studio / publisher. Top 2 choices for me right now is still Kojima Productions and From Software. I'm really leaning more towards FromSoft right now because of Demon Souls. And I know Bluepoint did the port, like FromSoft wasn't really involved in the port of Demon Souls, but with how popular Demon Souls is as a launch title, it has a lot of visibility. People are still clamoring for a Bloodborne 2. I think it just makes a lot of sense for Sony to want to partner with them on a long-term basis. Whether
I can see that.
Whether FromSoft is going to want to do that or not, I don't know, but that seems to be like the shoe-in. Like, if they were able to get them, it would make a lot of sense for everybody. I mean, Sony's they have not 1 but 2 exclusive games from FromSoft. So, I think that makes a lot of sense. My dream,
that does make sense.
My dream that would be way too expensive, and Sony probably could not afford it, but would be for them to buy Sega. I want like the current number 1 publisher to buy the publisher that like his like at one time was rivals to Nintendo and has now, you know, they fell off a cliff and now they're building back. Now they're in a good place. If Sony were to buy Sega, that would be like a new megacorp. That would be on the level of Microsoft buying Bethesda, I think.
Sure. My turn?
Your turn.
All right. I will go with one of the ones that I made earlier. Again, you are very, so I've noticed this about whenever we predict things. You are smart, and I think you vote with your brain. I am smooth brain, and I think I vote with my heart and try to will things into being, which is why it seems I get more wrong. Because I'm not really analyzing like from a business perspective or from a like what is the logical next step and like the way to be smart about this. I'm just like, no, give John personally what he wants.
It's a strategy, right? Like it's the same thing with like trying to do like your March Madness bracket or
Yeah.
your like when you're picking bowl games for college football. It's like, do I
Yeah.
pick the team that I want to win, so when I watch the game I'm like rooting for the team, or do I pick the game that I actually think is going to win, or the team that is actually going to win, and then like be mad during the game when they do win? That's the
Exactly.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah. You're playing like 3D chess. I'm playing very basic checkers. So anyways, the first John wills into existence is I really hope that Gravity Rush 3 will be announced. I don't expect there to be any major details, but I know that whenever the first time I really saw a did it come out for PlayStation 3 or 4? I can't remember now.
Gravity Rush 2 or Gravity Rush
When did the PlayStation 4 come out?
2014 2013
Okay,
no 2013.
So I think so I hung out with a friend from high school, but this was after college. Like we had stayed close over the years. And I went over to his place, and whenever I arrived, he was playing Gravity Rush. And I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 or if it was one of the remasters.
Well, the
slash
original
the remaster. Because I think the original came out for PS3, but then
Vita.
oh, right,
It was
right.
only on Vita, so this would have had to have been later, maybe when the remaster came out
That
for PS4.
sounds right. Although he could have played it out of order.
Could be.
Regardless, he played Gravity Rush, and I was like, "This game looks like a lot of fun. I would consider buying a PlayStation console just to play this game because it looks so interesting and so unique." So again, back to my train of thought. I want it. Please give me. I don't think that, like I said, I don't think we'll get any major details, but it does seem like there's a pretty good following, a level of success that this series has. So I'm really hoping that with a brand new console, and I thought that I'd seen articles a while back that said basically something along the lines of, we do plan on continuing the Gravity Rush series, but we are not going to touch it until the new console launches, meaning the PS5.
Yeah, I think you have a decent chance of that.
I hope.
If not Gravity Rush, I think we might definitely see something new from Studio Japan this year, because we have not seen the last game that Studio Japan put out that they developed solely by themselves was Loco Roco 2 Remastered in 2017.
So it's been 3 years.
Since
almost
then,
4.
Yeah, since then they've co-developed games. Like they actually worked on Demon Souls with Blue Point Games. They worked on Dairy Scene with From Software. That's another PlayStation exclusive game from From Software. Dairy Scene, Shadow of the Colossus remake or remaster or whatever. So they've put out games or have their name attached to games since then. But Loco Roco Mat 2 Remastered, which was just a remaster, was the last game we got from them in 2017 that was solely their responsibility. So I think that they definitely, it's definitely time for them to put out something new that's from them. And Gravity Rush 3 would make sense.
I hope. I really do. That would be another big reason, or a big push for me personally to invest in a PlayStation 5. I mean, I've got plenty of reasons already, but like for now I can still realistically hold off. But if they announced Gravity Rush 3, that would definitely be a big push for me personally.
I think that's not as, I know that's like something you personally want, but I think that's a pretty good prediction. That's
Thanks.
pretty good. Good job.
Can't wait to be wrong in 1 year's time.
I think this next one for me might be my boldest prediction out of any of the ones that I'm going to give tonight.
Ooh.
And that is that we are going to see the PSVR 2 announced.
Okay.
It's going to be fully wireless, and there are going to be new controllers, new Move controllers or whatever that utilize DualSense haptic feedback. Because the PlayStation Move controllers that are used with PSVR were controllers that were created for the PS3 back when the Wii came out and they wanted to have a competitor to the Wii on PlayStation. They created the Move controllers for that. So those fucking things are ancient. I think that,
That was like the nunchuck with the little ball on it, right?
Yeah. And that's what they use for the VR unit. Because the light on them can be seen by the PlayStation camera and can be tracked.
Yeah.
Which is smart. Like, they didn't have to develop extra tech for the PSVR. But now that we have the DualSense and we have haptic feedback, that just makes so much sense to put into a VR controller.
Sure.
Like, when VR's entire point is to be immersive, to put something that's immersive like haptic feedback into a controller makes a lot of sense. I think that, VR is at a point where we want the next, like, PSVR has been around for a long time, and it's now time to take the next step to improve that quality, to get the power out of the PS5, to make it look good. I think it makes sense to have fully wired. Again, this is probably the most far out prediction I have. I don't know that it's going to happen this year. It's going to happen eventually, I think. But the sooner the better.
All right. My next prediction is, this is something I'm actually not willing into existence. This is just something that I see as a world thing, especially with the just hellscape that we live in. That seems to be what we will continue to live in for the next couple months. I think that there's still going to be major stock issues on PlayStation 5 availability until, I'm going to say, the summer. My original guess was that it would be until, but I think that they'll be able to figure out supply chains a little bit quicker and get these things built and get them out by summer, especially if the vaccine is starting to go out to some people. I don't know how other countries are doing it, but like, I've got to think that like summer is when the holidays are going to be far over by that point. All the people who originally wanted it, this huge first wave of people who want to get in, will have gotten it, I think. But it's definitely, I mean, we've seen it every day. All these deal accounts on Twitter are tweeting about all these queues. So it's not going away just yet. And I really think it's going to be until summer at the very minute that we have these issues, which I don't think has ever... the only system that I remember being this problematic for accessibility in terms of buying it was the Wii back in the day.
Yeah, even the Switch by like midsummer was fine. Like if by the Switch came out in March, I think, and by July you could get one on Amazon if you just wanted one. Now again we're having Switch issues again, but that's for a different reason. But yeah, I think the Wii is the only one that was like out of stock for an entire year because everybody, including everyone's grandma, wanted one.
Literally, yeah. So I don't really know how we're gonna like quantify or qualify that at the end of next year.
I mean, if Wario64 is still tweeting about queues in July, that's how we'll know.
I guess, yeah. I just don't know if there's gonna be like there's not gonna be a date where it's like, okay, we're done. Everybody that had a PlayStation 5 is now happy. We emailed every single person who has ever signed up for one of these queues. Everybody who got one or everybody who wanted one got one. This is the date that everybody is happy with the PlayStation 5 in terms of being able to buy and get this console.
Yeah. My last prediction is that PlayStation Now is going to get some new features. They're going to get new features to help compete with Game Pass and other services that are like Game Pass. Maybe an expanded catalog of games. That would probably be number one. And maybe some day one releases. I don't think that... a couple months ago, it was like right after when the Series X blowout happened, and they were talking about all of Xbox's games being on Game Pass day one. Sony came out and they had a little, I forget who it was with. It might have been Famitsu or Eurogamer. But they had an interview and they said, the Game Pass model doesn't make sense for our first party games. And I think that is true. I don't think you're ever going to see, you're not going to see God of War 2 on PlayStation Now day one. You're not going to see whatever from Naughty Dog does next there.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not going to happen. That's not to say, though, that we might not see Bug Snacks or like Bug Snacks 2 or like new indie games or exclusive games. Like, even like it's something that they maybe would have put out on PlayStation Plus, like Fall Guys. Like, and maybe instead of Fall Guys going to PlayStation Plus, it goes to PlayStation Now day one. Something like that.
I can see it.
Not their first party stuff, but I think we might see some day one stuff on PlayStation Now at some point this year. So I don't know exactly how to quantify that, but we're going to see PlayStation Now features unveiled this year that are aimed directly at competing at Game Pass. Did you think of a third one?
I mean, not exactly. It's very weak because this isn't even owned by... I don't think it was ever owned by PlayStation. I guess I'll put it here just because it's... What? You okay there?
No, so CC just... we don't usually interrupt the podcast for alerts, but CC23 just subscribed, and he helped me unlock an emote that apparently is a Twitch drop. It's the 2020 drop, and the emote is of some purple man in a jetpack, I think.
Maybe he's on fire.
Maybe he's on. I can't tell exactly what that is, but I've never seen that.
No,
before.
it's bigger now, and he seems happy. He doesn't seem in pain, which is what I would expect 2020 to be at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, carry on.
Oh. All right. Anyway. Yeah, it's probably not... This probably should go in like the third party at this point, but it's just something that, as somebody who didn't have a play growing up, I've always associated with it. I know that the remaster has come out for everything at this point, but I kind of think that... Is Spyro coming back? Did the Reignited trilogy do well? Again, I just associate it with PlayStation. I know it's Activision, but like,
yeah,
for me, it was I had Nintendo stuff, and I could never play the Spyro games until like they started to branch out a little bit and put a couple of them on the GameCube.
sure.
But like the original trilogy, that was all PlayStation exclusive. I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it did well enough. I guess the essence of this prediction is that there's going to be some kind of mascot game, like old school mascot for PlayStation, getting a new game, or at least a new game announcement on the PlayStation.
Are you including Ratchet in that? Because we already know that one. That's not
something something that isn't known already.
I would not be surprised to see Sony San Diego, I think, has a team that's been dark. Sony San Diego they do MLB The Show, but they apparently have a new team that has a lot of ex-Naughty Dog talent on it. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people were theorizing that they were doing a new Uncharted game. But what if it's a new Jack game instead? That could be cool.
And again, this is my issue. I don't know all these, like, all of their mascots at this point.
They have so many. There's so many. Because the thing is, the PlayStation one, so obviously Sega was pretty much dead at that point. And with N64, by the mid-90s, Nintendo already had recognizable mascot characters. And so PlayStation was like, well, we need ours. And so they made Crash. They got Spyro. Was Spyro Sucker Punch? I think Spyro...
Spyro, when I looked it up, was Activision.
No, but like, who developed it first? I don't think that they...
Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch definitely was Sly Cooper, but you see, there's all these characters. You got Sly Cooper, you got Crash, you got Spyro, you got Jack and Daxter, you got even like the true third-party ones.
Spyro was designed and created by Charles Zambias for Insomniac.
So look, you got Insomniac in there, which went on to Ratchet and Clank. You have the true just like the one-off dead mascots like Croc, like
yeah.
Glover, like
Oh God, Glover.
Gex, like all of these like stupid like little mascots that everyone is trying to make take off, and none of them did. But something like that. Maybe we'll get Gex. Maybe we'll get a Gex 4.
With all these like older games getting remastered, reignited, whatever, they're becoming known and accessible, especially to younger audiences again. I think like it feels like PlayStation has obviously a very good hold on the like more serious genres and like the more realistic games. But I feel like they are almost, and maybe it's just I don't know enough games on PlayStation, but it feels like they're missing like a more innocent kind of thing.
I think that buying Insomniac helps that a lot. Ratchet and Clank is a series that I think is sticking around at this point. No, Siri. I never said Siri. I said Ratchet and Clank. That's not even close.
Didn't you say seriously?
Oh, I might have said that. Anyway, the other one that like Dreams. Also, no, I don't agree with that anymore because now we have all these games. We have Ratchet and Clank, we have Dreams, we have Sackboy's Great Adventure, we have Astrobot. There's so many. That was true like 3 or 4 years ago, but with the PlayStation doesn't have like some of its core family games anymore. Like Little Big Planet went away. They don't have like a real mascot. But now again they got Ratchet and Clank back. Astrobot is fulfilling some of that. We have Sackboy and Sackboy's back now outside of Little Big Planet. Dreams is a thing. I think they're fine. But I still think that you're right. We could see a resurgence of some character that we've not seen in the last 15 years.
Yeah, I just don't know enough about those old characters to make an educated guess on who it's going to be.
Sure. My money's on Jack, probably. I think that's the one most people are screaming for, and it's the one that Sony still owns.
Okay.
Little mini prediction from me.
A little tag on prediction onto my prediction.
Can you paste those in that archives document under your name?
Yeah, I've got them all typed out. I'll copy paste them once we're done.
Cool. Next up is Xbox. 3 Xbox predictions. The first one for me is a Bethesda prediction. We're finally getting Starfield. It's happening. And it's going to be pretty much the exact same playbook that Bethesda used with Fallout 4. They're going to... Fallout 4 was fine.
Was it?
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, 76 was the bad one.
76 was the bad one. Yeah. So they're gonna plan to show Fallout. No, they're gonna plan to show Starfield at whatever Microsoft's summer presentation is going to be if E3 doesn't exist. It's probably going to get leaked like a week before that. So we're going to know that Starfield's going to be shown. And then it's going to come out in the fall. So unveiling during the summer, fall release date. That's the same thing that happened with Fallout 4 is they showed it off for the first time at E3. And then they released it like 3 months later. I think that'll be what happens with Starfield because we haven't heard about it for a long time. And it's like, at this point, the game needs to come out based on how long we know it's been in development.
Sure. My first prediction is that, man, Halo Infinite is going to have a very different direction and a very different feel
what if
whenever it comes time.
Because
they can't put it off. They can't put it off. I don't think they can afford to put it off at this point.
Okay.
Like, they have the Series X, they have the Series S. They have no flagship games. They need the Xbox, the Microsoft mascot to make a debut appearance on this new console. I just think it's going to be very night and day from what we saw previously.
I wonder if
both because of the reaction and because of the change in executive staff.
Yes, I wonder if that character is even going to exist. The Marine that's on the dropship with Chief that found him out in the middle of space or whatever. I wonder if that character is even going to be in this new game. Like, I don't doubt that they kept the engine and just threw out everything else.
Sure.
Like, we're talking about a shooter campaign. Activision is able to pump out one of those for Call of Duty every year reliably.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that hard to develop the actual gameplay around Halo. I have no background in game development. I can't speak to that. But I would assume if Call of Duty can do it, Microsoft can figure it the fuck out. I just wonder how different that story is going to be.
And we will probably never know.
My second prediction is also Infinite related. I think that they're going to wait.
Okay.
I think that all of these, I think that you're right. I think it's going to be a totally different game with a totally different direction because they have a totally different executive team and lead game designer. And they know how important this game is. And they also know how angry fans were when, what was the Brute's name? That everybody, it was
remember.
like, not Winston, but it was something similar to that. Chad the Brute or whatever. They know how bad that looked.
Yeah.
I don't know that they can do that in a year. They should be able to. I just said they should be able to, but I don't know. Again, this just takes me back to I have zero faith in 343. 343 has done nothing.
It's true. I just, again, this is me hoping that the issues were largely from the executive staff and like creative directions that were chosen and therefore assigned to the people who are actually doing the work. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 343 just needs to go away forever.
So my prediction is Halo Infinite's development continues to be turbulent, leading to one more delay out of fall 2021, which is the current release date. It's fall 2021, September through December, probably November. I think it'll get pushed. It'll get pushed to spring sometime, which is a weird time to come out for Halo, but I think they want it to come out because here's the other thing I was going to ask. What else do they have next year? Fable's not next year. There's no way Fable's next year. There's no way Perfect Dark's next year.
No.
I doubt there's a way that new Obsidian game is out next year. I forget what it's called, but the one that looks kind of like Skyrim, Oathkeeper or something like that. I don't think that one's out next year.
Probably
I don't know what Microsoft really has next year, like, from its first party that's big other than Halo.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't come, I think that there might be a problem, but I don't know. I don't have any faith that that's coming out next year.
All right. We'll see. One of us will be right.
Number 2 from you.
Number 2 from me. And this, you almost touched on it. What do we know about Fable at this point? Do we know anything other than that it's happening?
There was a fairy, and the fairy got ate by a frog, and then we saw the word Fable. That was it.
All right. Well, I suspect that we're going to get a lot more Fable info with specifically a release announced for, I'm saying spring 2022. I don't know if Fable games have traditionally launched at a certain time of year, but spring feels right for Fable.
Okay. I could see it. We know we know that they've been working on that since at least
They've had time.
2018. So,
and if I am right and they do stay with the timeline of Infinite releasing in fall next year, then they're certainly not going to release Fable alongside that.
Yeah.
That'd be shooting themselves in the foot. So I think that they would realistically be able to get it done and out spring of the following year, 2022.
Sure. I think it'll definitely. I think 2022 is a safe bet.
Yeah.
For me, I'm thinking fall with Halo being the spring game and then Fable being fall. But I think
you basically pushed my predictions out half a year each.
Give them a little bit of a buffer.
All right.
My number 3 prediction is that Xbox is going to come out. Phil Spencer is going to come out. He's going to do a little, one of those like get down on his knees and bow kind of deals and ask for forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
By backtracking from their plan to keep the Xbox One forwards compatible with their major AAA games.
I hope so.
After watching what Cyberpunk was like, I don't think that there's any way that Halo Infinite or Fable or Obsidian's game or Perfect Dark or any of these games can come out and actually run like they should on their Series X hardware, let alone their Series S hardware, and then have that work with a 2013 fat Xbox One. There's just
The big
no
old
way.
brick that I have sitting downstairs.
There's no way. None. I'm okay if they want to be like, we're going to try our best, especially with Game Pass and especially with xCloud. Like, if they want to say, okay, you know what, this game is going to run on an Xbox One, you just have to subscribe to Game Pass and xCloud, and you can stream it.
Sure.
Like, that's what they need to do. They can't be developing these things for a console that was launched a decade ago. They just can't anymore. So I think that we're going to see them formally come out and backtrack. It's not going to be like it's not going to happen at the E3 kind of thing. It's not going to happen at a major presentation. It'll be in some interview. But wait for us to cover that news story this year, because I think it has to happen.
All right. Going back to the mentality of me willing something into existence, I don't think I do this every year, but man, please let them do something with Banjo-Kazooie.
What's Rare working on?
Banjo-Kazooie, they made it to Smash this year? It's been such a stupid year that I can't remember. Was it last year?
I'm pretty sure that was 2019, I think.
Like, so many people got so excited about it. Just make new, even if it's, I don't know, just give me more Banjo-Kazooie, but like the good Banjo-Kazooie, not nuts and bolts. Don't make a whole game and then skin it as Banjo-Kazooie, which is what nuts and bolts feels like. Make an actual Banjo-Kazooie game, please. You have Rare. You don't really have the people at Rare anymore, but you could get the people from Rare back if you wanted to.
You could.
I mean, you could buy Platonic easily. You bought Bethesda, like.
Yeah, just buy Platonic and absorb them into Rare. Just make a second team at Rare. I don't know where Platonic is located.
You know how you guys started this brand new studio because you were sick of working for us? Well,
too bad.
Again, me willing into existence. Probably not the most realistic prediction, but I want it.
Give it to him, Xbox. Come on, Phil.
Please.
Let's move on.
Don't ask for much.
Let's move on to Nintendo. My first Nintendo prediction is that the Directs are dead. Long live Directs. Nintendo is going to continue to dole out smaller, highly focused Directs. They might call something a Direct, like they called the Super Mario 35. I think it was the Mario Direct or the Mario 35 Direct or whatever. But that wasn't really a Nintendo Direct.
But the hour long, was it an hour or was it
was
like
like
30 minutes?
40 minutes or something, but it was all about Mario's 35. It wasn't a Direct where they're showing, like.
No, but I mean, like the traditional Directs were usually
like an hour. Yeah.
An hour.
Yeah.
We're definitely not going to have that anymore.
So I think that the Nintendo Direct is dead. We're going to get focused Directs on things like Zelda's 35th anniversary. We're going to get these mini Directs with 3 or 4 games in it. We're going to get the Direct partner showcase thing with the third parties and indies. Like, there's going to be stuff coming from them, but the formal Nintendo Direct is just gone.
All right. My first prediction is Breath of the Wild 2 is going to release in... I'm struggling on what season I want to go with. I'm just going to go with fall. Because originally I wanted to say spring. But based on a lot of like hidden records that were uncovered about the Mario 35th anniversary and stuff like that, it seems like they are behind by about 6 months. And I don't think that they have quite recovered from that yet. And I originally said that Breath of the Wild 2 would come out in spring of next year. I'm going to give it that 6-month buffer that it seems everything else that they've done has, and say that they are now going to release it in the fall.
Okay.
But it's coming out next year.
Okay. I like this because I do not believe it's coming out next year.
Damn it.
Here's my thought. What if I told you that
Oh,
they
no.
were 6 months behind 3 months ago, but the pandemic is still a thing. So they're just
Sure.
getting further and further behind as time goes on.
No, they're done being behind now. Thank you.
So here is my prediction. Next year is Zelda's 35th anniversary. I think that they are going to celebrate that with a remastered collection of some kind. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be the 264 games. I think it's going to be Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time bundled for Switch. I think that you're going to get a Tetris 99 styled game like you got Mario 35, some sort of Zelda dungeon version of that. And I do not think that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be released in the calendar year. I think that that's going to be I think that you're right that they want it to be a spring game. And I think that it's going to be spring 2022.
2022.
Because here's the thing. They could it's not in Nintendo's track record, and that's not to say that they could just change course, but look at the Breath of the Wild's original marketing campaign. They showed that off at E3 2016, I think, and then they released it in March of 2016. So there was like 9 months of marketing there. They haven't talked about it yet, which means it's not coming out this spring, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, you would definitely not think.
And if they don't say anything about it for another few months, like at that point, I think we're into 2022. I think it'll be like first quarter or spring of 22.
See, I'm hoping that. Well, let me get into my next prediction because it kind of ties into it. Because I do think that Nintendo is going to have a very Zelda heavy year. So 2/3 of my predictions were related to Zelda. My next prediction is that we're going to have a much more thought out and just better anniversary for Zelda than we did for Mario.
Stumping hard.
We know that there's a pandemic, and so we can kind of plan for that now.
I love that you have faith in them.
I really do. Anyways, what I think the big thing that comes out of that is, like you kind of just said, where'd my list go? There it is. I also think we're getting an anniversary release of old games. I don't think it's going to be the games that you said. I kind of wish it was, but I suspect it's going to be, they're going to call it the HD anniversary, and it's going to be Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD, and they are going to have an HD remake for Skyward Sword. So that's what I think it's going to be. Is that what I want it to be? No. But that is what I think it's going to be. In regards to in the fall release and kind of tying in with this anniversary stuff, I think they're going to do. I agree that directs are dead, but I think they're going to do a Zelda mini direct thing.
Yeah.
In February.
Okay.
Because that is the original launch month of the original Zelda. And if we see that, I think we would get Breath of the Wild news, which would then allow for a fall release.
Yeah, that makes sense. Look at you using your brain now. See that?
Yeah.
That one has brain. Look at
Nintendo. It's the one area I have brain.
You used wrinkles for that.
Thank you. I earned one. I can feel it.
My last prediction for Nintendo is Pokemon related. I think that I don't know that Pokemon Snap is coming out this year. I would hope that it would, but other than Pokemon Snap, I think that we're also getting some new Pokemon game. Either a straight up a new generation, or a new Let's Go style game for maybe the Johto region. Maybe Let's Go Cyndaquil and Let's Go Totodile or something.
Funny you should mention Pokemon because my last prediction is also Pokemon related. I and I don't know what put this idea in my head. Maybe it's just the internet wanting it, which means that it's not going to happen. Can you hear my dog?
Squeaky, yeah.
Okay. My final prediction is that we're going to have. Can you stop? We're going to have a Pokemon remaster of Gen 4 released for the Switch. I think Gen 4 is the oldest one that hasn't gotten a remaster at this point, because that was Diamond and Pearl. And I know we've had Alpha Ruby or Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby. I don't think we've had, whatever way it was.
Yeah.
We have not had Gen 4 remade or remastered at any way, shape, or form. And I know a lot of people really like that gen.
Do you think they're going to do a remaster, or are they going to do like a remake in the style that they did Sword and Shield?
That is a tough call. Because Sword and Shield, how well received were those games?
I think pretty well. 8s and 9s.
Okay. I guess that they would, well, I kind of think we're going to see something like a hybrid between the two, I guess. I never played Sword and Shield, so I don't really know exactly how that plays. But I think we'll see aspects from traditional handheld Pokemon games mixed with the new style that Sword and Shield are in. I really didn't think that far out.
That's fair. Just thought I'd ask.
Sure.
Moving on into the third-party / indie window.
Spoiler alert, all of mine are indie.
And all of mine are third-party.
Excellent. We can see where our interests lie.
I have a couple indie that I should have broken this down to two. Oh, well, we're already...
I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, we should probably move fast. My first one is another From Software prediction. I think that... You know what? Saying this is making me not believe it. But I think that Elden Ring is going to come out this year.
Nope.
I don't think... Did From Software put out a game last year? I don't think they did. Or this year, 2020? Because Sekiro was the last one, right? And that was 2 years ago. I mean, it was 2019, which will have been 2 years ago.
Sure, in like 2 days.
I think that it's time. The thing that makes me think it's not is that anything by George R.R. Martin just never comes out.
That's true.
I think they're still waiting on that Game of Thrones book that was supposed to come out like 3 years ago, and it's still not out.
Game of Thrones is like, the books are done, right?
No, the TV show's done. The books are not done. There's still like 3 more books left, I think. 2 or 3.
What the hell? How?
Because he doesn't write them. Or he does, and he just like, I don't know. I don't know if like he takes a day to edit every single sentence that he writes or what, but he's taking forever. And if he's involved in this game like he is, I don't know how quick it's coming out. But I think that it makes sense for it to be this year. I think From Software, like they are a pretty reliable developer when it comes to how quickly they put out games. If it's not Elden Ring, it'll be something else. But Elden Ring is what they've announced, so I would assume it would have to be that.
Sure.
Unless, Bloodborne 2 or Demon Souls 2 comes out of nowhere. But I guess we'll see on that.
We shall see. Man, you are going to just 100% see exactly what I said earlier of me willing things into being. First prediction. Silksong is going to be released.
At what point does Silksong become Hollow Knight 2? How are they still working on that as DLC? It's been so long.
Oh, I thought it is a whole game.
It's still but it's like mild. I don't think it is. Is it?
Yeah, it is. It's got a whole new map and everything. You don't play as the knight anymore.
No, I know. But I think it's billed as DLC. Hold on.
I thought it was billed as a whole new game. I do have a month tied to it as well. Silksong will release, and I hope I'm wrong in that it's earlier than I'm predicting. but Silksong will release in October because that just seems like the fitting time for a new Hollow Knight game.
Okay, no, yeah, you're right. It was originally billed as DLC, but then they decided to expand it to a full sequel.
Okay, good.
I knew it was its own game, but I thought that like it was going to be its own game in the same way that. I'm trying to think.
One of those Spider-Man games is its own game.
Yeah, I think that's actually
built.
what it's turned into. Is like Miles Morales instead of it's because it's not Hollow Knight 2. It's not called Hollow Knight 2. It's called Hollow Knight Silksong. So
Yeah.
I think that it's actually the exact same thing as Miles Morales. But number 2 for me is, guess what year it is next year? Other than Zelda 35, guess what other year it is?
Donkey Kong's
Donkey
Kong's 40th, I think.
It's Persona's 25th anniversary.
Oh boy, here we go.
So here we go with my Persona predictions. Atlas.
Now you're willing things into being.
I am. Atlas did just come out, and I think they talked to Famitsu about a week ago, and they were like, "Hey, stay tuned for a big year from us. We're gonna announce a lot of stuff about Persona because it's the 25th anniversary." Here's what I hope. This is my hope. This is my prediction where it's a lot of hope. What I think it's going to end up being is just like a lot of side stuff and like, here's a concert and here's a new stage show and here's a new all this stuff that's just for Japanese people that live in Tokyo kind of thing.
Yeah.
What I hope it is that they're going to continue re-releasing old games by expanding. I've kept it intentionally vague here. They're going to expand Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3's footprint. I think that could include Persona 4 Golden going to PS4, maybe Switch. And I think that Persona 3, not a remake necessarily, but a remaster or just a straight port, could make its way to Steam, probably PS5 or PS4 or whatever. I don't want to commit to like Switch being on that list or Xbox being on that list or Steam or whatever, but I think that we'll see P3 and P4 Golden, probably P3 Fez, maybe P3 Portable, I don't know, moved to other platforms.
Sure. I hope you're right.
Here's my second. There's multiple parts to this.
Okay. Of course, it's the Persona one. Why wouldn't you have this very thought out?
If we're all good boys and girls,
Which we aren't.
we have to be good boys and girls.
Okay, this is doomed from the start.
We're going to see a remaster of Persona 3, a la Shin Megami Tensei 3 remastered. What? Who the fuck saw Shin Megami Tensei 3 being remastered? Ever. And all of a sudden that comes out of just thin air last year. People have been screaming at Atlas to make a Persona 3 remake forever. Since Persona 3 Portable came out, since the PS3 came out, make a Persona 3 remake. If we're good boys and girls, we might see that happen. Last but not least, it's the 25th anniversary of Persona. I think
we should have just made you a separate category called Persona.
I think that we're going to see
three predictions.
I think we're going to see the first. It's the first formal mention / teaser of Persona 6.
Okay.
So here's the whole thing. Persona 25. Atlas will continue their re-releases by expanding Persona 4 Golden and P3's footprint. If we're all good boys and girls, we'll see a remaster of P3 a la Shin Megami Tensei 3's remaster and the first formal mention of Persona 6.
Do you know how upset I'm going to be if Persona's anniversary has all this cool stuff and Zelda's get shit?
I mean, to be
it's
fair,
very possible.
To be fair, 25 is a bigger anniversary than 35.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I guess. Okay. My second prediction is, again, just me willing things into being. Please, please, please. I know he is obviously still very interested in it, but he is a very busy guy, and he's got a lot of real cool projects he's working on. But I hope and pray that we will finally see the release of Deltarune's Chapter 2 by our very own Toby. Please.
Literally just Chapter 2. Just give us like one more.
Yeah, I don't need the whole game to come out. I need a little bit more. It's been too long. I could go back and play Undertale. I guess I could go back and play Chapter 1 of Deltarune. But please, 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 I would like some new content from you, and it's been, I think, enough time.
Last category, miscellaneous.
Wait, what?
Or did I miss one? Oh, that was only 2. Sorry.
I was going to say,
I got ahead of ourselves.
You got thrown off because your Persona one was 3 itself.
You're right. My last one is that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to receive a Witcher Enhanced Edition re-release. That's going to be... It's going to be released along with the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions sometime in the fall of 2021. And on top of that, they're going to give the first few DLCs to everybody for free as a recompense,
as an apology.
Yes. Yeah, I think they'll release the PS5 version is not going to be called Cyberpunk 2077 PS5 or even just Cyberpunk 2077. It's going to be Cyberpunk 2077 We're Sorry Edition or whatever, Enhanced Edition, something like that.
Apologies.
My bad.
Whoops. All right, my last one is we are going to see Fall Guys make its way over to Xbox. And with that release, we will see a Master Chief Bean skin.
Smart.
Want to see that bean in armor. Please and thank you.
They already got the Doom skin. It's basically the same thing.
No, it's different. Put a big 117 on his chest.
Now, for real, the last category. Miscellaneous 2021. Potpourri 2021. My first prediction is about the Game Awards. I think that the Game Awards 2021 is going to be the most anticipated event of the year because it's going to be an in-person event. I think it's going to be an in-person event. It's going to be the first time.
The first one.
Yeah, the first time the games industry gets to come back together. Everybody gets to go out to the hotel bar and have a drink afterwards or whatever. It's going to be a big deal for the games industry. And I think along with that, there's going to be extra hype, and we're going to have bigger announcements than we've gotten in the past. I think it's going to be a big event. Bigger than it normally is.
My first one, and this is I'm kind of speaking to my own lack of knowledge about this. I know that we've mentioned it before, and I think we both have, like, it's been said that there's really no clear answers to what's happening. I think Marvel is going to come out and announce their next phase for the movie franchise. Have they done that formally?
Yeah, they kind of have.
Damn it. Then I can try to come up with another one.
I
don't keep up with movies.
The thing is, it's all like TBA. It's because what they did is a couple weeks ago during their investors call, they showed off all the new Disney Plus series and kind of some of the movies that tie into some of those series.
See, I knew that they did a lot of the Disney Plus and the like TV series.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they got into the movies. This was exclusively for the next phase of the movies.
Sure. I mean, they kind of have. They kind of did that a while ago. But I think though that a lot of that has changed now that Disney Plus is a thing. Like when Endgame was done, like we knew at that point that we were getting a Black Panther 2. We knew we were getting a Doctor Strange 2. We knew we were getting an Ant-Man 3, a Guardians of the Galaxy 3, a Captain Marvel 2. Those are 5 movies that we knew we were getting. They've been talking, like they talked about casting, they talked about all this stuff, but none of them were really like formally announced.
Sure.
Now we know we're getting those 5 in addition to all of the Disney Plus stuff. So I think that maybe some of that movie stuff starts to get moved around.
Then I'm going to make a slight adjustment. I'm still going to keep it with Marvel, and it's still going to be focused on the movies. Is it a fair prediction to say that we will see the next, basically, we'll see the start of a new kind of Avengers idea?
I think that
we'll see the start of like what their grand plan is for this next,
I hope so.
I don't know, 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't think that's been announced, right?
No, I do hope so. I think that like the only thread that I see right now is the idea of multiverses.
Sure.
Because we have the Loki show that's coming out. I think it's just called Loki. Basically, what something happens in Endgame that causes an alternate timeline for Loki in particular, and based on the casting of Spider-Man 3, and based on Doctor Strange's movie being named Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I think it's pretty safe to assume there's going to be a lot of like universe switching and like alternate timelines and stuff starting to take place. So I think that's fair. I mean, I hope we see something like Galactus happen eventually, but like I think that's probably right. At some point in this, maybe not like this year, I would assume it'd be this year with some of the movies that come out, but I think that we need to see the groundwork being laid for what's long term.
A more formalized plan for what they're gonna, because basically once they made the Avengers originally and brought all them together, like we kind of knew what was gonna happen. We didn't know what was gonna happen, but we had an idea of like that Marvel had a plan for the next 5 years of movies. Yeah. I think we're gonna have that by the end of this next year. I think we're gonna see that Marvel has a new plan.
That's good. Good prediction.
Okay.
I like it.
Neat.
My next prediction is about streaming. I think that streaming is going to it's going to like take center stage this year, and a lot of discussion concerning.
We don't have like the same prediction.
Legal stuff. Like
that is exactly what I put.
So my prediction, this is how it's read. Streaming will be changed significantly this year with the MCA and other issues taking center stage. This is sort of me injecting some hope into it. Twitch or Amazon have to do something. They have to be, they're the player. They have to take part in this somehow. So sure. I think that they're going to be the one sort of pushing the legislation forward. Like they're the ones that have to actually be the player. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, that feels very much like mine. I wrote down lots of Twitch legal stuff is coming. Hopefully mostly from Twitch itself, but also some things even from government in terms of like regulation and rules and laws and what I don't know the right word, but like how exactly it functions. And there's because of that, there's going to be a lot of headaches.
I will say
there's gonna be a lot of people. There's gonna be a lot of old white dudes.
Yes,
who have a lot of really dumb questions. I just will not understand at the end of the day.
I am at least like, I don't have faith. Faith is not the right word, but like the fact that AOC was able to actually stream multiple times this year.
Yeah.
And there are like, she streamed with obviously that time with Among Us, with whoever else was on there, but she also streamed with a Canadian parliamentarian one time.
Yeah.
Like this has happened multiple times. She's used the platform. She's social media savvy. There are other people that are now, being sworn into Congress that understand it. At least we have people sitting in that chamber that have some semblance of what they're talking about. Like It's not just 80-year-old Mitch McConnell sitting over here trying to understand what a kappa is. Like we have, there's just a lot that is going to go, I think, a little bit more smoothly because there are people in there that understand.
Hopefully.
There's
definitely going to be.
I now recognize the chair from Kentucky. Yes, what is PogChamp? Don't worry.
What is a poggers?
Can someone explain to me what this frog is, please?
Now, if you look at the screen, who is this man?
My third prediction for the miscellaneous category is that we will see at least one major publisher or studio make a public announcement about ending crunch policies, which will then go on to spur a movement.
Now who's the hopeful one?
I think that there's going to be one studio. I have a feeling it's going to be Naughty Dog, but we'll see. It's going to be a major studio come out and say, this is how we've done things in the past. We are now embarking on a new game journey. We're developing a new game. I know CD Projekt Red thought they were talking about this, but we're actually doing it. And these are the steps that we're taking to make sure that we're not going to do this at the end of the development cycle.
Yeah.
And then once they do that and they make it public, I could see it like turning into a positive kind of Gamergate where like a hashtag is created and maybe like game devs go out and they start talking about this and like, hey, we're doing it too, and we're doing it too, and this is how we're doing it. I really feel like this is the year where the discussion around game development actually starts to make progress.
Yeah. All right. My final prediction. I'm not 100% sure how this will play out, but something with Amazon's, what's it called? Moonlight?
Luna?
Luna, that's right. Something with Luna. So my prediction is that Luna or Stadia, one of the two are going to have the plug pulled. Because we cannot have all these things. However, it could be just a merging of those two.
Ooh.
I don't know how that would work, but something big is going to happen where there's hopefully one less player at the end of the day. I don't see how it's profitable.
I don't either. I think that eventually, yes. Personally, I don't see that happening this year. Just because, like, both of those companies, I mean, Google and Amazon literally have all of the money in the history of the universe.
They do. I really hope that one of them realizes that they could use that money better.
Yeah. I mean, if it is, it's going to be Google because this will be year 3. Essentially, we're going into year 2-ish. But like Stadia's been around for a while.
Yeah.
So if one gets pulled, it'll be Google. Luna I don't even know if Luna's out right now.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I wasn't sure, because Stadia has people invested in the like hardware at this point that you need to have. Luna, if they just pull the plug on that before it even really starts, like they're not going to have people angry at them.
Yeah, I think it's just like Amazon sees Game Pass and it's profitable and they're like, we can fucking do that, you guys. We're Amazon.
Sure.
Our CEO is going to be the first trillionaire in the history of the human race. We can fucking do this.
But they could easily just not.
That's true. Yeah.
Especially if all this Twitch legal stuff happens and they're like, oh, maybe we don't want to get involved with this video game scene as heavily as we once thought. Maybe this is not worth the headache of hiring all these lobbyists to talk to 80-year-old white men.
I guess like me thinking about it, like I cannot fathom Google, Amazon, and Microsoft working together in any kind of way.
No.
So I don't think that any of those could combine. But when I think about Sony though, and PlayStation Now, that could be a thing. Sony
Maybe.
could be like, hey, Amazon,
We'll take your money.
you want to just like merge this PlayStation Now thing with your thing and we'll put it on our thing? I don't know. I don't
know how it's going to work out. Again, it's more me just hoping
something has to fail.
It's oversaturated and something needs to, it doesn't need to necessarily die. It needs to at least merge though with something else. One of these services has got to go. We need to cut the list down from 6, 7.
Too many.
We need to cut it by 1, realistically, this year. Preferably, it would be something like you just mentioned, where it's a company who has all the money. Like, you know what? We don't know how this works. We'll just give you some more money so that you can earn money for both of us.
That would be the smart thing.
That would be less work, less headache, and actually, paying people who understand how this works instead of starting from the ground up, inventing the wheel all over again.
Google and Amazon just have to use their wrinkles. They just have to get their wrinkles. They gotta figure it out.
They gotta get those wrinkles.
those are our predictions for 2021. If you have any predictions, please post them down below in the comments. Let us know on Twitter. Get at us wherever you get at us. Join our Discord server.
Yeah.
Let us know what your predictions are. We'd love to hear them. If you like what you heard, you can find us live on twitch.tv/CDRMagnus every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also find us on all of your favorite podcast services, also on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at Josh. You can find me on Twitter at CDR Magnus. You can find John on Twitter at John Kamiko. I look at your name every time.
Why?
I know I should look at my name, but I never do. I look at your name, and it throws me off.
Yeah.
John, do you have anything else for the good of the order before we wrap things up for the day?
No, I very clearly have a very upset little dog who didn't want to go out about an hour and a half ago.
That's just how it goes.
Every time, as soon as I sit down, she's like, you know what? Now's the time. Now I want out. Please let us go. And I'm like, all right.
Well, I hope you all have a happy new year, a great start to 2021. You will see us back here next Tuesday, the 6th ish?
5th.
The 5th for episode 5 of QuickTime Event Plays Persona 4 Golden, and then right back here on Thursday for a QuickTime Event episode 127, which will be our Game of the Year episode. It is finally time to talk Game of the Year.
Oh, God. No, I'm not ready.
It's too late.
There's too many good games, and I just played Hades, which is now going to...
it's going to throw everything off. It's true. Next week, you got, 8 days, basically.
I considered starting Persona 5 Royal, like, tonight or tomorrow, and, like, take a little break from Hades. I can't do that. Not just because of the time constraint, but because I cannot put another game that I know is going to like have to go in my top 10. It's been hard enough to whittle this list down.
I'm right there with you. And we will have a long discussion about that next week. So look forward to that. Thank you again, everyone. Have yourselves, again, a great night and a great start to 2021.
Let's make it better than 2020. Shouldn't be hard.
Happy New Year!
Yeet.